I use TA in a workplace environment, and as part of my role I look after change in an organisation. So the context that I use it in is managing teams and managing change and projects and the entire process throughout the organisation and organisational change. And I use various models to help me support that.
And what models do you use? What's useful to you?
So for example, particularly in managing teams, we have to in our change department deal with a lot of political influence. So one of the great things that I use to get people clearly focused is life positions and okayness, particularly when games and things can arise. So that's one aspect of TA that I use. When dealing with projects and working through projects, if you take standard project methodology, you can really nicely overlay cycles of development on top of that. So that gives us in the organisation not just a position where you're using standard project methodology, but it includes the cycles of development and the affirmations and permissions and strokes that come along with that, which really help a project come to life and move through those stages.
Okay, so going back to the life positions, could you just tell me a little bit about how you actually apply that? How do you actually use that in your organisation?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's probably best to give an example. So an example would be that we had a particular change going through. It was a high priority, there was a high level of stress, and that involved two departments doing two pieces of work. Those two departments got into conflict. One was in an I'm okay, you're not okay position, and another one was in a I'm not okay and you're not okay position as well. So by sharing the model with the people and working through the discussion, rather than just having a meeting and letting the argument take place, we looked at life positions and we said, right, let's change our frame of reference. If we were in an okay position, how can we actually look at this problem and get to grips with it and come to solve it? So that would change the frame of reference for the delivery of that piece.
So two departments that for whatever reason are in conflict.
Yep.
And rather than just allowing that to play out, you then educate them, share the model with both departments, it sounds like, to help them to be aware of where they are, with an invite to then be in a different place, to feel okay about themselves and okay about the other.
Yes.
With a view to then resolving it from there. Lovely.
Absolutely.
Okay. And in terms of what you were saying about project management, so I don't understand, I'm not a project manager, I don't understand the concept. So what I hear is that you have a project management model that fits nicely with the cycles of development.
So again, let's look at an example. So let's take a change to a website. So we're changing the price presentation page on an insurance website. So once you've done your quote, how the price pops up to you. Okay. So in order to get there, someone has the idea first of all. So how do we, and this is the concept stage, so it's embryonic. We want to change it, we have an understanding why. We've done some back of fag packet figures to understand why it would improve the customer experience and the profitability, etc. So at that stage, we're really at the being piece. Nothing's concrete, it might not even go ahead, and it's purely embryonic. And at that stage is where I'd be getting involved.
So the idea is just being, it's just being an idea.
Being bounced around. So right now, nothing exists. There's probably a one-pager that's created to highlight what the idea is and some very loose numbers to support it. You then move through into the next stage, which is taken from that concept, moving into a phase of understanding what the requirements are and then initiating it. So at that point, you're moving through to the thinking stage, into the doing and being stage. And they come very fast, these stages, because an idea can go from, that looks good, let's firm things up and let's go with it. And there are a set of hoops that we look at from a project perspective and gates that you would move through to attain that, to actually get to a point where you deliver. And that's a really important piece, because that's when you come up with what does it look like, what buttons are people going to click, how does the customer journey get interrupted, what problems do we overcome, and at that point that's when we start moving through the cycles of development model. And it's using the affirmations that come with that within the organisation, because you can get really stuck. And you get really stuck because you can have lots of people, particularly on website design, where everyone's got their own viewpoints. So being able to use those affirmations really helps the project move pretty much on a psychological level much more smoothly. So we have to tick all the process criteria and the governance pieces and make sure they're ticked off, and that's happening at project level. But underneath us all, we're also using cycles of development to understand what stage we're in, what affirmations we need to ensure that we're moving through to the next stage in a healthy way, but also ensuring that we're ticking off everything as we go along and that we're satisfied with what's going to be produced.
So as a manager, you've got a team of people who are going through this change, developing a new bit to a website.
Yep.
How do you use the affirmations?
So I personally use them. So I obviously have the affirmation model. So I look at those affirmations and I tweak them for organisational pieces and make sure that I'm passing out those affirmations.
Okay, so you're actually speaking them to your team as you feel they need them, and also supporting your own process with them. And
in my team because I also have a team of business analysts and project managers, I also share the information with them and ask them how they can roll it into the projects that they're delivering as well, and at what stage they are.
So it sounds, Joe, like that you're working with a lot of people. How many people do you manage in your organisation?
I have under my management 10 people at the moment, and that includes 4 on the project side, and I also manage a testing piece as well, and I have 6 testers.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much, Joe.
Okay.